Welcome to Talk Wave, making waves, one talk at a time.
Hey everyone, welcome back. It feels like we're all kind of glued to our phones right now with all this talk about TikTok getting the axe.
Yeah, it's definitely been a roller coaster.
No kidding.
No.
The Supreme Court just greenlit a law that could basically shut down TikTok in the U.S., and it seems like things are changing by the minute.
It is pretty wild how fast this whole thing's blown up. I mean, remember back when Trump first tried to ban it during his first term?
Oh, yeah?
Then during the 2024 campaign, he seemed to do a complete 180, even join TikTok himself. And
Yeah,
now,
now he's got the power to actually make it disappear.
yeah, and the clock is ticking. The deadline is this Sunday. Unless ByteDance sells TikTok, which hasn't happened, it could be lights out for the app in the U.S.
That's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
We're talking about 170 million U.S. users who could suddenly be cut off from the platform.
Exactly. And the
Yeah.
fallout from that could be huge.
So let's break it down. What does this ban actually mean?
Basically, the law says that companies like Apple and Google can't host TikTok in their app stores. And the Supreme Court just upheld that law. So now it all comes down to whether ByteDance sells TikTok by Sunday.
But TikTok's not going down without a fight, right?
Not at all. They're saying this ban violates their First Amendment rights. They've even started warning users that the app could go dark, and they've pulled it from U.S. app stores.
Oh,
You've probably seen all those creators saying goodbye to their followers.
it's heartbreaking. Some of them are saying they're going to lose a huge chunk of their income, like Nicole Bloomgarden. She makes a good living from TikTok.
Yeah, it's not just about individual creators either. Think about all the businesses, the communities, the whole ecosystem that's sprung up around TikTok.
It's mind-blowing to think that all of this could happen in just a few days.
It is. And then
Yeah.
you've got Trump's stance on all of this, which is, let's just say, it's a little confusing.
Yeah, he's giving off some mixed signals.
Yeah.
On the one hand, he was all for this ban, but then he also hinted that he might give TikTok a 90-day reprieve.
Right. He just posted on Truth Social saying he needs time to review the situation. And remember that meeting he had with TikTok CEO Shou Zi Chew back in December?
Yeah.
Well, there were reports that he actually has a soft spot for the app.
That meeting was really interesting, especially because of what happened afterward.
Oh, yeah. After the Supreme Court ruling, Chew put out this video message where he actually thanked Trump for trying to find a solution.
It was kind of a weird tone to take considering what's going on.
For sure. Let's actually hear a bit of that video message.
Okay.
Audio clip plays. TikTok CEO Shou Zi Chew saying, "I want to thank President Trump for his commitment to work with us to find a solution that keeps TikTok available in the United States."
It almost sounds like they're on the same side.
It does add a strange twist to the whole story. And then, of course, you've got the Biden administration who basically just kicked the can back to Trump.
Like, this is your mess, you deal with it.
Pretty much. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said they don't see any reason for TikTok or other companies to do anything until Trump takes office on Monday.
So the ball's back in Trump's court. What are the real-world consequences if this ban actually goes through? I mean, it's not just about the app disappearing, is it?
You got it. This could have some serious ripple effects. First of all, companies like Apple and Oracle could get hit with massive fines for hosting TikTok. We're talking big money.
Wow.
Then there's the impact on TikTok's 170 million U.S. users. They'd lose access to a platform that's become a major part of their lives.
It's not just entertainment either. It's educational content, news, even political activism that could vanish overnight. Remember Erica Thompson, the beekeeper?
Yeah, the one who teaches millions of people about bees.
Exactly. She could lose her platform just like that.
This ban raises some big questions about whether national security, which is what they're saying is the reason for the ban, actually outweighs people's freedom of expression.
It's a tough one. And then there's the question of what this means for U.S.-China relations.
Yeah, things are already pretty tense between those two. Exactly. This could make things even worse. It's like TikTok's become a pawn in this whole geopolitical game.
Yeah, it really makes you think about how much power these platforms have and how quickly that can all change.
It's a bit of a wake-up call, I think. It's important to remember that this isn't just some legal battle happening in a vacuum. There are real people whose lives are going to be affected by this. This isn't just about a company, it's about a community for a lot of people.
It's a small piece of this much bigger conversation we're having about the internet free speech and the influence of these tech giants. What happens with TikTok could set a precedent for how other platforms are treated in the future.
And all of this is playing out against the backdrop of an already strained relationship between the U.S. and China.
It's almost like TikTok's a pawn in this big geopolitical chess game. which raises some interesting questions about where technology politics and national security all intersect.
It feels like those things are impossible to separate these days. Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest takeaways here, this blurring of lines. What starts as a debate about a social media app can become something much bigger really quickly.
So where do we go from here? What should we be looking out for in the next few days?
I think the biggest question is what Trump decides to do. Will he give TikTok that 90-day reprieve? Or will he just go ahead and enforce the ban right away?
And if he does enforce it, what then? Could TikTok sue? Would companies like Apple and Oracle fight back?
Oh, I think lawsuits are almost guaranteed. TikTok's already said the ban violates their First Amendment rights, so they could take this to court. And then you've got Apple and Oracle who could be facing huge fines. They've got a reason to want to keep TikTok running, so they might jump into the legal battle too.
So this could drag on for months or even years.
It definitely could. And in the meantime, the whole social media landscape could change. If TikTok goes away, that leaves a gap, and, other platforms are going to try to fill it.
Which could be a good thing for innovation.
Yeah. But it could also cause a lot of disruption.
So it's kind of a mixed bag.
Exactly. This is a catalyst for change, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds.
It definitely shows you how quickly things can change in the digital world.
And how connected everything is. We're talking about a social media app, but this has implications for freedom of speech, national security, international relations, even the future of the internet.
It really drives home the point that the digital world and the real world are totally intertwined. What happens in one affects the other.
Couldn't have put it better myself.
So what's your advice for our listeners as they try to make sense of all this? What should they be paying attention to?
I think the most important thing is to stay informed. This is a fluid situation, and it's easy to get lost in all the noise.
Yeah.
So stick to reliable news sources, follow the legal developments, and try to see things from different perspectives.
So not just getting your news from social media.
Right. Be critical of your sources and look for balanced reporting that shows you multiple sides of the story.
And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Absolutely.
Mm.
The more you know about this, the better prepared you'll be for whatever happens next.
It's such a complex situation, and I'm sure our listeners are wondering, what's the takeaway here? What does this mean for me?
Honestly, I don't think anyone knows for sure yet. There's still so much up in the air.
But there are some things we can take away from this, even with all the uncertainty.
Definitely. And one of the biggest is that the digital world isn't separate from the real world. Politics, power, national interests, all of that shapes what happens online.
And this isn't just about TikTok. This is about the future of the internet, the balance between free speech and regulation, and the relationship between the U.S. and China.
It shows you that technology isn't neutral. It's a tool that can be used in different ways. And the choices we make about how we use it will have big consequences down the road.
It's like we're at a crossroads, and the decisions we make now will determine where we go from here.
And the stakes are high. We're talking about the future of communication information, even democracy itself.
Yeah, it's a lot to process. But that's what these deep dives are all about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to untangle these complicated issues and figure out what it all means.
Exactly. Hopefully, by looking at this from all these different angles, it can help people form their own opinions and get involved in these conversations.
So before we wrap up, I'm curious, what do you think is the one question everyone should be asking themselves about this whole TikTok ban?
That's a good one. I think the most important question is, why is this happening? I mean, is it really about national security, like they're saying? Or is there something else going on?
Like what?
Well, some people think this is just about trying to hold back a Chinese company, trying to stop them from getting too powerful, economically speaking.
Yeah.
Others think it's about controlling information and limiting free speech.
Yeah.
It's really important to think about all the different angles and not just accept what you hear at face value.
That's so true. We can't just take things as they're presented.
Yeah.
We have to dig a little deeper, question things, and challenge those assumptions.
Absolutely. And figuring out the real reason behind this ban that's going to have a huge impact on the future of the internet and our digital lives.
So while we're all waiting to see what Trump decides to do, let's all try to stay informed, have those tough conversations, and make sure our leaders are accountable for their decisions. The future of TikTok might be up in the air, but one thing's for sure, the digital landscape is changing right before our eyes, and we all have a part to play in shaping what comes next.
I couldn't agree more. This is a pivotal moment, and it's up to all of us to be a part of it.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll be following this story closely, and we'll be back with more updates as soon as we have them.
Until then, stay curious, stay engaged, and stay connected.